My brother totaled my car, the one I'd just paid off. Dad's response: boys will be boys. Just take the bus, I said. Sure, started taking the bus to work. 2 months later, Dad called. Why haven't you paid Mom's medical bills? I replied, can't afford it. Bus pass is $90 per month. Adds up, he screamed. You make 6 figures, I said. Proof? Then I sent him the screenshot of. My brother called me at 4:37 p.m. on a Thursday. I know the time because it's still in my call log, right under the photos of my car before and after. Hey, he said, don't freak out. Those 3 words are the family alarm bell. Don't freak out means the exact opposite. I was in the break room at the hospital, still in my polo with the company logo, badge clipped to my belt. Medical device rep, 6 meetings that day, feet killing me. My 6-year-old, Ellie, was at aftercare waiting for me to pick her up. What happened, Nate? I asked. Long pause. So, funny story. Nate. I'm fine, he rushed out. Totally fine. But your car is kind of not fine. I felt my mouth go dry. What do you mean not fine? Like, totaled, he said. But, dude, it wasn't my fault. This guy. I'm on my way, I cut in. Where are you? Mom and Dad's. Tow truck just left. Dad's here. It looks worse than it is. That's what people say about relationships, not crumpled metal. By the time I got to my parents' house, it was getting dark. Ellie's head was heavy on my shoulder. I'd grabbed her from aftercare on the way. The car sat in the driveway like a crime scene. Front and folded, windshield spiderwebbed, airbag dust still everywhere. A piece of my headlight was halfway up the lawn. Ellie tucked herself closer into my side. Stuffed unicorn mashed between us. Daddy, she whispered. Is your car sick? Yeah, I said. My voice sounded weirdly calm. It's really sick. The porch light came on. Dad stepped out in his old Ohio State hoodie like it was just another Thursday. There he is, he called. Don't freak out. I stared at the car. You let him drive it? I asked. Dad squinted like I'd asked something rude. He had an appointment. He needed something reliable. Nate came out behind him, a little too fast, talking with his hands. Dude, I'm so sorry. This guy ran a red. I couldn't do anything. Airbags went off. It was like a movie. But I'm good. I swear I'll. Where's the police report? I asked. In the house, Nate said. Dad's got it. Insurance will handle everything. Ellie looked between us. Her fingers dug into my collar. I could feel her watching my face the way kids watch the weather. I swallowed. That car was paid off last week. I know, Nate said quickly. Congrats, by the way. I turned to Dad. The title's in my name. The loan's in my name. The insurance is on my policy. Dad cut in, like he was correcting a PowerPoint slide. Which is why you got such a good rate, Dylan. You're welcome. I blinked. So the payout will go through me, he said. Obviously. Relax. We'll sort it out. No reason to make this a whole thing. My hands felt cold, even though I could see my breath in the air. Ellie whispered, Daddy, are we going home? In a minute, bug, I murmured. I took another look at my car. The one I'd been paying on since I was 26. Last payment had hit Monday. I'd texted a picture of the paid in full screen to my group chat. Little confetti animation and everything. Where are my keys? I asked. Dad huffed. You don't need keys for that, he said, nodding at the wreck. Tow company took M. My chest tightened. Okay, I said slowly. So what's the plan? Dad spread his hands like he was being reasonable. The plan is we calm down. We let insurance do their job, and in the meantime, you take the bus. It's not that deep. The bus, I repeated. You're always going on about public transit being good for the environment, he said. There you go. Boys will be boys, accidents happen. You're still working, yeah? Hospital's on the line anyway for your little gadget job. You'll help with your mom's bills like we talked about. Just take the bus. Ellie's head pressed into my neck. I could feel her breathing, too fast. I didn't scream. I shifted Ellie higher on my hip, looked at the wreck of my first real grown-up thing, and said, very calmly, sure. I'm Dylan. I'm 32. I sell medical equipment in Columbus, Ohio. If you've ever seen a guy in a too warm blazer wheeling a suitcase through a hospital and saying things like capital budget and demo unit, that's me. On paper, I make decent money. Base salary plus commission. In group chats, it gets rounded up to 6 figures because people hear the word sales and stop listening to nuance. In my family, 6 figures turned into bottomless ATM. Family helps family, my mom says. She always says it soft, like it's a hug. Dad says, we're a team. Nate says, you're the responsible one. Nobody says, we keep a running total. The first time I paid one of Mom's medical bills, Ellie was 2 and Nate had just blown his 3rd job in a row. Mom had a scare. Chest pain, ambulance, overnight in the cardiac unit. She was fine, thank God, but the bill that followed was not. Dad put it on the kitchen table like a dead bird. Look at this, he said. Can you even believe it? It was $3,842.17. I was 27, new in my job, still figuring out how commission actually worked. Insurance barely covered anything, Dad said. Your mother's going to stress herself into another heart attack over this. Mom sat at the table, hands around a mug of tea that had gone cold. We'll figure it out, she murmured. We always do. Nate scrolled his phone in the corner. This healthcare system is a scam, he said, which was his way of sounding involved. I stared at the bill, at the line that said guarantor, John Miller. Dad sighed. Dylan, you know we're tight this month. Work's been slow. The furnace, the roof, your brother between jobs again. Just until we get our feet under us. Just until was the family language for forever. Ellie toddled in wearing one of Nate's old ball caps, tripping over the brim. She smacked into my leg and laughed, big and free, like the world was simple. I thought it was temporary. It wasn't. I wrote a check for $1,000, told myself I was being a good son, that I'd stop once they recovered. The second time, it was Nate's truck. He was 24 and had talked Dad into co-signing for a used F-150 for work. The job lasted 6 months. The payments didn't. Dad called me on a Sunday. They're going to repossess it, he said. You know what that does to my credit? To the house. Ellie was on the floor, lining up her plastic animals. She looked up when she heard the word house. Even at 3, she knew that word meant something big. Nate texted me separately. Bro, I swear I'll pay you back. Family is supposed to pull together. I put another $600 on my already abused credit card and transferred it to Dad. The third time, it was smaller, which almost made it worse. They'd started calling my monthly transfers your contribution. For $100 on the first of every month. For the house and Mom, Dad said. You make more than we do. It all evens out. I was paying $1,150 in rent, $380 in daycare, $250 in student loans, plus my car payment and gas to 4 different hospitals every week. One night, I walked into my parents' house with Ellie on my shoulders and watched her shrink in real time. Dad and Nate were in the living room, arguing over the game. Mom was in the kitchen, stirring something on the stove. It smelled like overcooked onions and stress. Ellie tugged my hair. Can I watch cartoons? She whispered. Ask Grandpa, I said. She patted in, socks sliding on the hardwood, and stood by the arm of Dad's chair. Grandpa, she asked, can we watch Bluey? Dad didn't look at her. We're watching the game, he said. She nodded and started backing away. Don't sulk, he added, still staring at the screen. You get plenty. Let the adults have a turn. Ellie stopped. Her shoulders folded in. She tucked her hands into her sleeves and retreated to the hallway, where she sank down next to the shoe pile and pulled her knees up. I followed, sat beside her on the floor. You okay, bub? I asked. She nodded too fast. I'm fine, she said. It was my voice coming out of her face. That was the night I realized she was learning the rules I grew up with. Don't make a scene. Don't be dramatic. Be grateful. Family helps family. Just not in both directions. After the car, everything got louder, but quieter. Out loud, the line was, it's just a car, Dylan. Underneath, it was, you'll fix it. You always do. Insurance moved fast. Too fast. The police report listed Nate as the driver, Dad as the policyholder, my car as total loss. I asked Dad for a copy of the claim. It's handled, he said over the phone. Don't worry about it. I'm not worrying, I said. I'm asking. How much is the payout? Pause. Enough, he said. They're paying out market value. But there's the deductible, my premium's going up, your brother. How much? I repeated. He sighed. Around 12. 12,000. 11,800, after the deductible, he said. Look, this isn't a pie chart. It's all family money. Some goes to the loan. Some goes to help your brother into a cheap little runaround, so he can keep working while he's between things. Some goes to. The loan is in my name, I said. The payoff letter is in my name. That money needs to go to my bank. Wow, Dad said. There it is. There what is? The selfishness, he said. We put you on my policy to help you. Now when things swing the other way, you're clutching pennies. Your mother is sick, your brother almost died in that crash, and you're worried about driving a nice car. The reasonable voice cruelty. The one that sounds calm and measured while it guts you. I need a car to get to work, I said. To take Ellie to school. The bus is an hour and a half each way. Plenty of people take the bus, he said. You're not special. So I took the bus. Every morning, I set my alarm 40 minutes earlier. Ellie and I walked 3 blocks in the dark to catch the 5:40. She'd curl up against my side, half asleep, backpack at her feet. I'd balance my laptop bag, sample kit, and coffee like a circus act. Adventure bus, I'd tell her. She'd nod, but she stopped asking when we'd get our car back. My coworkers asked why I was showing up sweaty and windblown. I laughed it off, trying to save on gas. Climate Dylan, I joked. My commission dipped because I couldn't make as many in-person demos without a car. Gas money became bus money. My contribution to my parents became shaky. I started keeping track of everything. Transfers to dad and mom. Payments to the hospital portal. Childcare. Rent. The exact cost of my Coda monthly pass, $90. One night, after Ellie was asleep, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open and built a spreadsheet. Column A, date. Column B, description. Column C, amount. I scrolled back through a year of bank statements, logging every mom/dad and Nate transfer. By 1 a.m., the total at the bottom said $23,470. My hands shook. That's when I stopped arguing and started documenting. I wrote in the little notes column at the top. 2 months after the wreck, I was on the bus home, forehead against the cool window, when my phone lit up with Dad. I almost let it go to voicemail. I picked up. Hey. He didn't bother with hello. Why haven't you paid your mother's latest bill? He demanded. I blinked. What bill? The cardiologist, he said. They called here. We gave them your number. They said they've left messages. I pulled the phone away. No voicemails, no missed calls from numbers I didn't recognize. What's the amount? I asked. Don't start with the cross-examination, Dad snapped. It's around $2,000. You know she can't have that hanging over her. She needs to focus on healing. What's the exact amount? I repeated. He huffed. $2,187. Insurance covered the rest. You just need to step up like you said you would. The bus jolted. Ellie's head bumped my arm. She was leaning on me, earbuds in, watching a show I'd downloaded on my phone. She glanced up when Dad's voice got louder. I can't afford it, I said. There was a beat of shocked silence. Then Dad laughed. Very funny. I'm serious, I said. The bus pass is $90 a month. Adds up. So cancel it and get a car, he said immediately. You got the payout. No, I said. You got the payout. Dylan, don't play games with me, he snapped. You make 6 figures. Stop acting broke. Proof? I asked. What? You keep saying I make 6 figures, I said. Show me proof. Show me where you got that number. Because my pay stubs don't agree with you. Oh, come on, he said. You're in medical sales. You're always bragging about bonuses. Your uncle told us. My W-2 for last year was $78,432, I said. Before tax. Before insurance. Before child support. Before the contribution I send you every month. I've sent you over $23,000 in the last year, Dad. You're making this ugly, he said. We're talking about your mother's health. I'm talking about math. Ellie slipped her hand into mine and squeezed. Dad's voice rose. You ungrateful, we raised you. We kept you alive. We put you through school. We let you onto our insurance. And now when we need you to do your part, you're nickel-and-diming us over a bus pass. My heart was pounding, but my voice stayed weirdly flat. I'll send you something, I said. Give me 10 minutes. What? A pity payment, he scoffed. No, I said. Proof. I hung up. At home, I sat at the table again. Ellie-colored unicorns next to me, humming quietly. I opened my payroll portal, my bank app, and my spreadsheet. Screenshot 1, my year-to-date earnings page. Big bold number, $78,432. Screenshot 2, my budget app, with a category called Parents. Total spend for the last 12 months, $23,470. Screenshot 3, the insurance claim summary I'd finally wrestled out of the adjuster by insisting they mail it to my address on file. It showed total loss payout, $11,800 paid to policy holder John Miller. I stitched them into one image. 3 boxes, 3 facts. Then I texted it to my dad. No caption. 10 seconds passed. Then my phone started ringing again. I didn't pick up. The next morning, my inbox had 3 new emails. One from Dad. Subject line, call me. One from Mom. This is killing me, Dylan. One from the hospital billing office. Guarantor information. I opened that one. Dear Mr. Miller, it read. We are writing to confirm the guarantor for Jane Miller's account ending in 4721. Our records indicate a recent request to list you as the responsible party. Please contact our office to verify. Under that, a note. Requested by John Miller. Relationship, spouse. Reason, our son makes more. He'll pay. I stared at the screen until my eyes blurred. Ellie padded into the kitchen in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. Daddy, can I have cereal? Yeah, Bug, I said. My voice sounded far away. Grab your bowl. As she poured Cheerios with intense concentration, I picked up my phone and called the billing office. This is Dylan Miller, I said when a woman answered. I'm calling about Jane Miller's account. I am not the guarantor, and I did not authorize anyone to put me down as such. The woman on the other end sounded tired but kind. Okay, Mr. Miller, let me pull that up. I gave her mom's date of birth, the last 4 of her social, the account number from the email. I see the note here, the woman said. It looks like your father called in, and he doesn't have my financial information. I cut in. He does not speak for me. I will not be listed as responsible without my consent. Understood, she said. We can remove you as guarantor and list your father instead. There may be some forms too. Please do, I said. And can you send me that in writing? She hesitated, then said, Yes, sir. We'll email confirmation. Ellie crunched her cereal and watched me. You look mad, she said. I'm fixing a mistake, I said. Dad called 3 times that day. I let all of them go to voicemail. That evening, my phone buzzed with a text from him. You're messing with things you don't understand. Then another. You embarrassed us with that call. They said you removed yourself. What kind of son does that? I sat on the couch, Ellie curled against my side, watching a cartoon. I opened my laptop instead of answering. I typed legal responsibility for parent medical bills Ohio into Google. I made a note of filial responsibility laws, not applicable here, and bookmarked the page. Then I typed insurance misappropriation payout Ohio, and who owns insurance payout if policyholder different from title. I made a list. Insurance documents, bank statements, hospital guarantor email, my spreadsheet. I printed everything at the FedEx on my lunch break and slid it into a cheap black folder. A week later, Mom had a follow-up appointment with her cardiologist. She asked me to come. It would mean a lot, she said quietly over the phone. I know things are tense, but I'd like you there. I almost said no. Instead, I agreed. Because despite everything, she's my mom. The waiting room was the usual mix of beige chairs and old magazines. Mom sat beside me, cardigan pulled tight around her shoulders. Your father is angry, she said, eyes on the floor. I know, I said. He feels disrespected. I know. She hesitated. You know we don't have money like you, Dylan. He's scared. Ellie was at school. I'd taken the morning off. My black folder sat at my feet. Scared people don't get to lie about other people's money, I said. Before she could answer, Dad came in. He moved fast, like he was afraid of being late to his own performance. There he is, he said too loud. Mr. Big Shot. Mr. Can't Take a Joke. John, Mom murmured. Not here. I stood up. We're not doing this, I said. Not in a cardiology waiting room. He ignored that. You called the hospital behind my back, he hissed. You made me look like some kind of deadbeat in front of those people. You did that yourself, I said. A nurse poked her head out. Jane Miller. Here, Mom said quickly. That's me. Doctor's running a few minutes behind, the nurse said. Billing asked if you could stop by after your appointment, Mr. and Mrs. Miller. There are some forms to sign. Dad shot me a look. What did you do? He demanded. Asked them to put the bill in the right name, I said. He leaned in, voice low and venomous. You think a little bus pass makes you a martyr? You think you can just cut us off? You owe us. We raised you. I opened the black folder. Actually, I said, let's talk about who owes who. He rolled his eyes. Oh God, here we go. I pulled out the first page. This is my bank statement list from the last year. $470 transferred to you and Nate for help. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. I took out the second page. This is the insurance claim. It shows my car, in my name, being paid out $11,800. To you. Dad's jaw clenched. And this, I said, holding up the third, is the email from the hospital, where you tried to list me as guarantor without asking me. He reached for the papers. I stepped back. Don't you wave that around here, he snapped. You're embarrassing your mother. A door opened across the waiting room. A woman in business casual stepped out, holding a clipboard. Mr. and Mrs. Miller? She asked. I'm Patty from billing. Do you have a minute now? We can go over that guarantor update. Dad sputtered. Update. She smiled politely. Yes, we have you listed now as the responsible party. Before, we had your son. He called and clarified. For one blessed second, he was speechless. I looked him in the eye. That's the official sentence, I said quietly. You are responsible for your own bills. His face went red. You ungrateful little. John, Mom hissed. My heart. He backed off a step, breathing hard. The billing woman glanced between us, clearly wanting a different job. I'll just wait over here, she said. I took a breath. This is what's happening, I said, voice low and steady so only he and Mom could hear. I am no longer paying your bills. I am no longer on your insurance. I am no longer your guarantor for anything. If you try to use my information, I will treat it as unauthorized use. I've already filed a complaint with the insurance company about the payout being misdirected. That part wasn't fully true yet. The complaint form was half filled on my kitchen table. It would be true by tonight. Dad's eyes widened. You went to the insurance company? Yes, I said, with copies of the claim and my title. I have a case number. I slipped a small white card out of the folder and set it on the chair between us. Handwritten. Claim 3847-19, JM. Misallocated payout. Insured versus owner discrepancy. Mom looked like she might faint. Dylan, please, she whispered. We're family. We can talk about this. We've been talking about it for years, I said. Talking hasn't changed anything. Dad's voice dropped to a growl. You're going to regret this. For the first time in a long time, I believe the opposite. I picked up my folder. Then I did the irreversible things. That afternoon I changed my direct deposit so nothing ever touched the joint account I'd let Dad talk me into years ago. Canceled the monthly $400 contribution transfer. Filed the insurance complaint and got an actual confirmation email with the case number. Called my bank and added alerts for any new accounts opened in my name. Drafted a short email to my parents and Nate with 3 sentences. Effective immediately, I will not be paying any bills that are not legally mine. Do not list me as guarantor, contact, or payer for anything without my written consent. Any attempt to use my information without permission will be treated as unauthorized use. I hit send. Then I turned off my phone and took Ellie to the park. Peace doesn't drop out of the sky. It shows up in dumb, practical ways. My phone stopped buzzing for urgent bills. I stopped checking my account 3 times a day to see if a contribution cleared. Some mornings I was still on the 6 a.m. bus, Ellie leaning against me, watching the city wake up. The difference was I didn't hate myself for being there. A month after the email, I bought a car. Not fancy, a 7-year-old Corolla. Loan in my name, insurance in my name, title in my name. When I turned the key, Ellie squealed. Does this one get sick? It might, I said. Things break. But nobody else gets to wreck it. 2 weeks later, insurance called. The car was in my name, payout in Dad's, so they opened a recovery case and would be contacting him. I wrote the date and case number on a sticky note and slid it into the black folder. That night he called. You happy now? They're saying I have to pay money back. Your mother is sick over this. I'm not happy, I said. I'm done. He ranted. Then, you make 6 figures. This is nothing to you. Proof? I asked. I sent one screenshot. My W-2, my parents' total, the claim with his name as payee, and the email. Recovery case opened. Misdirected payout. Policyholder responsible. John Miller. This is my proof. Of what I make. Of what I've paid. Of what you took. So that's it. You're cutting us off. I looked at Ellie at the table, drawing a bus with little smiles on our faces. I'm protecting my kid, I said. And myself. He warned I'd regret it. Maybe, I said. But I regret the last 10 years a lot more. I'm not available for that. And I hung up. I'm on Dylan's side here, because Nate totaled Dylan's just paid off car after that 4:37 p.m. call. Dad kept the $11,800 payout on his policy, and they even tried to list Dylan as the hospital guarantor for the $2,187 cardiology bill without consent. What this story teaches us is that family helps family turns into silent entitlement when money, paperwork, and accountability are kept vague. First, document everything early. Screenshots, claim summaries, and a simple spreadsheet like Dylan's $23,470 total make reality undeniable. Second, secure your accounts in writing. Move direct deposit, set bank alerts, and send a clear email with boundaries and consequences on guarantor/insurance use.